subscribers, hope you guys are having a great day out there. As always, if you're new here, I am Jeremy, and today I want to go ahead and talk about why I use a public account with over $250,000 in it, okay? So essentially, in my private stock market group, I have an account that basically everybody can see every single move I make in that account. Every single buy order, sell order, I discuss why I'm selling stocks or buying stocks at a particular time. Everything's full disclosure, everything's posted with screenshots, and basically that account right now has $288,549.05 to be exact. And so it's a pretty big account, needless to say, compared to what a lot of people use. And sometimes I get questions from people and they're like, well, why don't you use a smaller account that is like the amount of money like people in your stock group have? You know, why not just use $10,000 or $30,000 or something like that? And first off, that's hilarious that somebody would think like, everybody's only has like $10,000 or something like that. There's at least 5 or 10 people in my private stock group that have a minimum of 6 figures in the market, and there's 3 people that I know for a fact have over $1 million in the market actually in stocks, okay? So just because, you might have $5,000 or $10,000 in the market does not mean everybody does. And so I just want to kind of make that point, okay? So there's actually some much bigger reasons why I think it is actually, if you're teaching people, I don't care if you're talking about trading in stocks, which trading and investing are 2 totally different things. But whether you're stock trading or stock investing, I think it's really important to use an amount of money that actually means something to your overall wealth. I think a lot of folks out there, if they have premium products they sell on either investing or trading, are using these little teeny accounts, and I think it's actually a really detrimental thing if you're out there teaching, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense, okay? Now let me ask you a question, okay? Let me ask you a question here. Let's go ahead and say that we're going to do a coin flip, okay? You and me, we're going to do a coin flip. We got a, United States quarter here. And depending on if this quarter lands on heads or tails, it's going to determine whether I get your entire net worth or you basically can win that same amount of money from me. So let's say you have a net worth right now of $1,000, okay? And we go ahead and we flip this coin. Basically, I get your whole $1,000 net worth or you get $1,000 from me, depending on if it lands on heads or tails. And I can almost guarantee you every single one of you guys would say, no, I'm not making that bet. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to risk my entire net worth on a coin flip. That sounds absolutely insane. I would never do something like that, okay? And if you are the type of person that went ahead and said, yes, I would risk my entire net worth on a coin flip, then I actually want you to go to a website, okay? It's www.gamblersanonymous.org, because you need that, because you can have problems. But let's go ahead and say we're not going to do the total net worth, because anybody with a half a brain would say, I'm not going to risk my entire net worth on a coin flip. That sounds absolutely insane, okay? But let's say instead we do $1. Okay, $1 is what we're going to risk on this coin flip. If you get it right, then you go ahead, you get $1 from me. If I get it right, I give you $1, okay? Now at this point in time, you might say, okay, you know what? It's worth the risk. This is something that'll be funny. I got, $10,000 or whatever. What's $1 to me? $1 at the end of the day isn't going to mean all the difference in the world, right? Your heart's probably not even going to get beaten because it's like, what's the big deal with $1, okay? $1, if I lose it, it's no big deal, okay? And so here's what you have happen, okay? You have some folks out there that have net worths of several $1 million, okay? Now, they could have this net worth. Some of it they could actually have, from trading or investing in the stock market. Some of it could also be from businesses, side businesses, and things like that, okay? But most of these folks that are big name people that are in the trading community or investing in community have a minimum, okay? We're talking minimum net worth of about $1 million. And once again, this doesn't mean they got all that $1 million from trading or investing. It just means they have at least a net worth of $1 million, okay? And a lot of these big name folks that you might watch in the investing community or trading community, I'm talking big name people, a lot of them have net worths of, some of them actually, $10 million plus net worth. So now that you know that, okay, now that you know a lot of these big name people in the trading community or investing community have net worths of 7 figures, if not 8 figures, okay? And then you see them trading or investing with a small amount of money, okay? Let's just use a rough number. They might be using, let's say, $30,000 for their investing or for their trading purposes, okay? This is an absolutely ridiculous number for a lot of these folks that have massive net worth, because it's not even an amount of money that can really matter to them. If you have a net worth of $10 million, and you're playing around with $30,000, it's not even enough money to get the juices flowing. You would need to have a minimum, if you got $10 million net worth, you would need to have at least at least, you know, $300,000+ in a trading account or investing account, okay? To make that money essentially, you know, something you actually care about, okay? And now some folks will say that they don't feel comfortable investing a bigger amount of money, okay? And I have a lot of trouble with that. And the reason I have a lot of trouble with that is if you have a net worth of millions and millions of dollars and you don't feel comfortable enough investing or trading more than, like, you know, 1% of your net worth, or less than 1% of your net worth, or even 2, 5, 10% of your net worth, then how can you possibly sell people an idea that you know what you're doing when it comes to trading or investing? It just doesn't logically make sense. You're a multi-millionaire and you got $30,000 in an account. How can you possibly say you don't feel comfortable trading or investing a bigger amount of money than that? It literally just doesn't make sense, because that means essentially you're not even confident in your own plan. And if you're not even confident in your own plan, then you probably shouldn't be selling info products that essentially are telling people that, you know, they can make money using your plan or something like that, okay? If you're someone that has, you know, a net worth of, let's say, $2 million, then man, you better have at least 200K, if not more money than that, actually in that public account that basically you show people that you're trading or investing in. Otherwise, it literally doesn't make sense. And so if I go back to myself and I talk about, like, why do I have, you know, a big amount of money in an account that I'm willing to invest in for everybody in that group to see, okay? It's, well, you know, what was it, $288,000. For me, that's a big amount of money. I'm doing very well for myself and I have private accounts and I live in a nice house and I have nice cars and things like that, but $288,000 for me is a lot of money still at the end of the day, okay? And meanwhile, I'm seeing people that have net worths actually quite bigger than mine and sell infotainment products on either trading or investing and have these little dinky amounts of money in their accounts, and they're like, well, you know, I don't feel comfortable investing more money than that or trading more money than that. And I'm like, dude, if you don't, then you need to not be selling products. I put my money where my mouth is when it comes to my investing approach, and I invest huge amounts of money, and most of my net worth is constantly invested in the stock market. You have people selling infotainment products that have between 0 and 5% of their net worth actually in the stock market, and they're selling stock market infotainment products. This is a massive, massive problem in the overall stock market community, okay? So whenever you're thinking about going to buy a person's product, and I'm talking whether you're thinking about buying a stock market investing book, okay? Whether you're talking about a stock market course, whether you're talking about anything where you're learning from people, okay? And let's not even just use stock market community. Let's talk about real estate investing community. If you're thinking about, I'm gonna buy somebody's product that's gonna teach me how to real estate invest, okay? That person better have a lot of properties that they use for real estate investing. If they don't, I mean, imagine a real estate investor. Imagine the scenario. You got this guy and he's gonna teach you how to be a real estate investor. And he's gonna teach you how to be a great real estate investor. But he actually doesn't own any real estate properties, or he actually only owns one real estate property, but he has a net worth of like $5 million or $10 million. And he's like, well, I actually don't feel comfortable buying more than one property. You would say, well, dude, you don't know what you're doing when it comes to real estate investing at the end of the day. If you're only gonna buy one property and you got all this net worth over here that you could deploy into real estate investing, then that obviously proves that you don't feel confident in yourself basically being a real estate investor, okay? And it's the same exact thing when it comes to stock market investing. If you're ever thinking about buying somebody's product, make sure it's somebody that actually believes in the system, that they're going out there and teaching. And I can tell you guys, if they have a little dinky amount of money that they play around with, at the end of the day, they don't believe in their system. The amount of money you have in a particular market determines how much you actually believe in your system. And so for me, at any given time, I have between 70% and 90% of my personal net worth in the stock market. And why do I do that? Because I actually believe in my system. I know most of the time I will make the right investment. Every once in a while I will make a mistake, but guess what? Most of the time I'm gonna make money. And so I feel comfortable having the majority of my net worth invested in the stock market. And meanwhile, you got other folks out there who clearly are not confident at all in their own systems because they have multi-million dollar net worths, and they got $10,000 in the market or $20,000 or something like that. And that's just ridiculous. To have that low of an amount of money in the market and you don't feel comfortable investing investing or trading more than that, but yet you're going to teach people how to invest or trade. It like literally doesn't make sense, okay? Now also, another thing I want to get into, and I get this question a lot, is like, why don't I pull out money out of my accounts, okay? So let's say the $288,000 account, why don't I go ahead and just pull out $38,000 out of that account or something like that? You know, why not just pull out money? And for me, I don't think you should ever pull out money out of stock market accounts unless you're in a few scenarios. One is an emergency scenario where basically you don't have enough like cash on the sideline or something like that. I'm talking such a bad emergency situation, like something health related or something really dramatic happened in your life that you had no other choice but to pull out money out of your account, okay? That's one of the scenarios. The second scenario is maybe if you have some massive big purchase you need to make. Like let's say you want to buy a home and you need to make a big down payment, and the only way you have enough money to make that big down payment is by pulling, you know, some money out of your stock market account. Okay, I can understand that. Or number three, you're retired, okay? Those are really the only scenarios I can think of where it actually makes sense to pull money out of stock market account. It's usually something you never want to do because you're compounding money, especially if you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. Why are we just going to try to make $5,000 or $10,000 in the stock market or $100,000 in the stock market just to pull it out and buy something with it? Just buy a fancy car with it, or buy a fancy watch with it, or buy a fancy necklace, or buy a Gucci shirt. So what, we can show off and say we got a Gucci shirt or something like that? That's absolutely ridiculous. It's all about taking things to the next level so you can do something even bigger, whether that's start a big business, which if you did not know, like to start an actual big business, it actually costs a lot of money, okay? And that's one of the great things a big stock account can do for you. Also, this opens up opportunities where if you want to start a business, you don't have to go pitch to investors. You don't have to go pitch the idea to the bank or worry about somebody, you know, always being down your throat and being like, oh, you didn't meet numbers. You can take your time with it. You can start that business on your own. So our goal is we want to take that 288 that we have right now, and over the next few years, I want to grow that into $500,000, okay? It's probably going to take us a few years to get there, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I want to grow that to $500,000, and then from there, over the next few years, I would love to grow that into $1 million plus account. And I can't be growing that into $1 million plus account if I'm taking out money to go buy another new car with it or go buy another new watch or something like that. To me, that just doesn't make sense. I can afford to buy the things in my life with like my just like YouTube income and stuff like that. I don't want to be worried about going ahead and being like, oh, I want to go buy something new. Let me go buy a new flat screen TV. So let me go ahead and take money out of my stock market account that we have built and let me go buy a new 70-inch flat screen. Like, to me, that idea is just mind-blowing that people would do that, and people would think like that's small. They would think that's small, that's a good decision to go ahead and take money out of the account to buy consumer items and things like that. Like, it absolutely blows my mind, guys. We want to build, and build until we have no ambition to build anymore. And for me, I might still be worrying about building when I'm 60 and 70. I might have, $800 million in the market. Who knows, okay? But my constant focus, at least at this time, is build. And it would be nice to get to a place someday where dividend money coming in alone would be $50,000, $100,000 a year. And I could somewhat understand if you get to a place, maybe let's say you're in your 40s or you're in your 50s and you've been taking stock market investing super serious, you have a considerable net worth built up in the stock market, and you're getting all this dividend money, you're getting $50,000 a year, $70,000 a year. I can completely understand if you're 45 years old and you want to quit your job and you're like, I just want to live off my $50,000 a year I'm making in dividends or my $70,000 a year. I can completely understand pulling that money out each and every year and going ahead and using that as your living expenses. You want to travel the world and do stuff like that. I completely understand. But to still pull out the money that is making you all that dividend money, it just doesn't make sense to me, guys. This is a game of compounding. This is a game of getting the numbers bigger. And if I get 8% a year and I have this amount of money, we're going to grow to this money next year. And if I get a 10% return next year on this amount of money, we're going to grow to this number. That's the name of the game. Not let me pull out some money to go buy something fancy to go show off to people or something like that. And, it makes sense to have considerable amounts of money if you're teaching others out there, because it actually shows that you actually believe in what you're doing. You're actually willing to put your money where your mouth is, okay? When the sports, we get this all the time. Somebody will talk about, oh, my team's going to for sure win. My team's way better. And it's like, put your money where your mouth is. Let's go ahead and place a wager on that game or something like that. And then all of a sudden you see, oh, no, I'm actually not that confident and whatnot. Confidence is determined by how much money you actually have in the market and what you actually plan on doing with that money, guys. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I just want to explain why I like to have considerable amounts of money in the market. And if you guys enjoyed this video, as always, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and let me know what your opinion is in the comment section. Thank you for watching and have a great day.